Mega is an improvised satire from the staff of a fictional megachurch.
We are here, Lord, we are here, and we're ready to podcast.
Hiya, I'm Hallie Labont, and this is Mega, coming to you from Twin Hills Community Church, where every single week we're giving our mega church a tiny family feel, especially at Easter. Per usual, I'm joined by my co-host. He's the youth pastor for our high school ministry called Climax. Please welcome my friend, Gray Haas.
Happy because I made a beatitude adjustment. Hallie, how are you?
So blessed. I love Easter.
I do too. Well, I'm a little titchy right now, actually. I'm trying to adjust my attitude, but it's not going great.
What's up?
Well, Hallie, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but my friend Clay Mason Bannerman. Yeah, I finally, and this is exciting news, I got him to come to church and come to the Easter service, which,
Awesome.
he, I think, really enjoyed. But, the weird thing was I don't know, there's just been this weird thing between us where he keeps giving me lions.
Lions?
Lions.
Like he's lying to you?
No. He gives me lions like the animal, but on cups and posters and bits of paper and things
stuff
like that.
with lions on it.
Right, things with lions on them. And he keeps telling me, I'm getting this because you collect lions. And so he's giving me, over the years, like a mug with a lion on it and a necklace with a sort of gold lion on it. He gave me a picture of Aslan with Jesus riding on him. He gave me a Bob Marley poster with Bob Marley as a lion. I didn't really understand that one. And on our way to Easter services, he handed me this, I guess for lack of a better word, it was these biker shorts with lions on them. And I finally just said to Clay, I don't get it with the lions. And he's like, you collect them. And I was like, no, I don't. You say I collect them and you give them to me. And he's like, well, because you collect them. I said, no, you started it. I never like lions. I don't know what the whole lion thing is. And then we got in this big kind of titchy fight because he claims that I collect lions, and I only say I collect lions because you made me collect them. Anyway, but I'm glad he came to church.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the Easter service was so impressive.
It was really,
what a good one to bring him
what
to.
a fun one, and I think he really saw the power of the work that we do here.
Yeah, if any of you haven't seen it yet, if you weren't in the services this weekend, we did 64 different services at all of our different regional campuses. It was unbelievable.
And you can still watch it on YouTube, so
Yep,
sub there.
It is streaming, and it was called Survivor, because Jesus survived being killed by the Father.
I know.
And it was so awesome. And so the whole theme was that we were doing one of those reality TV show reunions, right? And the cool thing about this Easter service, because we have to come up with new creative programming and content every single Easter, and of course, Christmas and whatnot.
And what is more relevant than Survivor?
Oh, totally. I mean, it's had like 29 seasons.
Exactly.
And so anywho, this one was so cool because it was the first Easter ever, maybe at any church or mega church anywhere in the world, where we had an Easter without Jesus.
Not a cross, not a crown, not a tomb.
Yep. Not an actor playing Jesus in torn up robes or any of it. It was it was docu-style, which is a very cool way of doing things now.
Confessionals.
Yeah, and so it was all the people who had supposedly been in the story of surviving, the crucifixion, and they were talking docu-style about Jesus, and we were piecing together the story of Jesus' death and resurrection by hearing from the people who were there.
It was so good. All of the apostles, Mary Magdalene, it was just really fun, and I think really put a fun and new twist on the crucifixion.
Yeah, I was riding a Jesus high, Gray. I was riding it high.
And you must be so tired.
I'm exhausted after that many services, but I get invigorated by serving Jesus, and I speaking of having a beatitude adjustment, I'm going to have to fix my attitude because I kind of came crashing down from my Jesus high when I finished working all the Easter services because I went to meet with my small group called Fruitcakes.
Oh, I didn't know it was called Fruitcakes.
Yeah, I'm in a small group right now. It's like a mini series small group for 9 weeks. We are Fruitcakes, where we each week we embody a different fruit of the Spirit,
Okay.
and we sit around, we eat cake.
that's fun.
while we're joyful, or while we are long suffering, we eat this cake.
I would like that, minus the cake.
It's a really great small group. And so anyway, fruitcakes has just been a real bright spot of my life, of my day, of my week. I just always look forward to my fruitcakes. And I got there this afternoon ready to just like come down from working so much and be with my friends. And it turns out 3 different girls in my small group have had to drop out of fruitcakes.
Why?
Because of the cake. They all have basically pre-diabetes because of COVID. It's one of the things you get from having had COVID is then you become pre-diabetic and you can't eat cake. And I'm like, you know what? I am so over this. I hung in there when I had to wear a mask going into Meijer just to pick up a cantaloupe, having my kids home from school. I hung in there when I had to get vaccines, and I hung in there when I had to get boosters, and I hung in there when I couldn't keep up with the regulations and who's this and what's that and how do we do it, and I have to have hand sanitizer in the car. And I hung in there when I lost 3 of my relatives, all died to COVID. And I said, you know what? They're in a better place. I hung in there when I lost 2 of my neighbors and they died. I hung in there the whole time, but now it feels like they're coming for my cake. And if we can't have cake at my fruitcake small group, which is called fruitcakes, not just because of the fruit of the spirit, but also because we're there to eat cake. If we have now lost 3 members of the group and we're losing the cake, I just cannot hang in there anymore.
Hallie, Jesus hung in there way longer.
You know what? That's true.
Sorry about the cake.
Thanks, Gray. Just like Jesus welcomes every man into God's family, we have a real family man today. It is my pleasure to welcome to the program Luke Blessing. How are you, my friend?
It's good to see you, Allie, and good to see you, Gray. I gotta say, my children really are enjoying your spirited conversations with them. They come. I think they might have a crush on you, but I got 17 kids, so you're gonna have to pick one, right?
That is right. I would say you're famous around Twin Hills because you do have the largest family at our campus, which is saying something with all the members that we have. And I don't even know how many of your kids are in Climax, but it's maybe a bevy or a gaggle or maybe half a dozen.
I would say about 12 of them out of the 17. I don't want to be a name dropper for drop some numbers on you, but yeah, I got 17 kids, and if Lavinia didn't have a prolapsed uterus, we'd have a lot more, huh?
So what leads someone to have 17 kids? I mean, that is, it's just an impressive number.
Yeah, very virile.
I'm going to say very honestly, I enjoy procreating. I got to say that, we don't kiss before marriage. And so it's very exciting when you get a live woman in front of you for the rest of your life. It's pretty exciting. Gotta say, I have a little bit of a competitive spirit in me. So I do enjoy having more children than someone else. I'm going to say it right now. My quiver is full. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what I say.
The Bible talks about how we are to be fruitful and multiply. And the Bible also, it doesn't have a bunch of parenting tips, but I always remind my kids that the Bible does say, spare the rod, spoil the child. And that's why we're a spanking family.
You don't want to spoil a kid, right? The rod, the child, the whatever. You know what I mean? I'll give them a hearty smack, but they're girls. So, a hearty smack can send them flying. So I just want to be a little more careful. You know what I'm saying? But they get the point. And that's the point, is that they get the point.
Yeah.
With the top of my rod and my staff, they comfort me. You know what I'm saying? Especially when they get the point.
Well, kids need to know who's in charge. It makes them feel safe, to have specific boundaries and to know that, that's how life works. There's going to be repercussions for your actions. You got to understand consequences before you get released out into the world.
Well, when you have 17 girls, it's very important that you take care of them. I mean, the umbrella of God extends to first the father. I'm in charge. I got to be in charge. So I got to make sure that, the wet goes on somebody else. You know what I mean? Not me, because I got to, keep my eyes clear so I can take care of my wife and my girls.
I love
this
that
is all
metaphor.
for the glory of God.
Yeah.
All for the glory of God.
Oh, wait, would you tell us their names?
A shout out.
Okay, we've got Lulu, Lacey, Lonnie, Lydia, Laurel, Laura, Lola, Loretta, Lizbeth, Louisa, Lena with 2 E's, Layla, Lily, Lucille, Lena with 1 E, Leia, and then Lyric, of course.
Oh,
So
I
we would have
love
had more
that.
L's, but unfortunately, my wife has a prolapsed uterus, and it's a little upset that we didn't have some quiet time together and make some more children. But we'll do our best, right?
I guess first I have one big question and one smaller question. The smaller question being, how do you differentiate between Lena with 2 E's and 1 E when you're just calling them, say, for supper?
I say Lena with 2 E's, Lena with
Okay,
one
a bit
E.
of them.
If the
Okay.
2 E comes and I said 1 E and she wasn't listening, there's going to be consequences.
Okay. And then I guess my other question is, you've got this awesome big family of ladies and you're there in the driver's seat. And I love that metaphor of you're the umbrella. And I just wanted to
Yeah.
know really why we had you on today is because, you did email us and say that you've got some big news and you said big Hollywood news in the subject line. So what's the big news with the family right now?
Well, the Duggars have 19 children, the Bates have 19 children, but you got to capitalize on, God spoke to me because you got to capitalize on what's happening. Let's face it, Josh Duggar is going to prison. The Duggars are done. So I went to Los Angeles with the children in Lavinia last week. We had 3 motel rooms, which was pretty exciting. We stayed at the Motel 7. I don't know, much about Hollywood, but I know there's a lot of highways, and we stayed off of one. I think it was on the 5 in the center of the state, which was nice.
Oh, okay.
And I
Sounds
did a
nice.
few pitching sessions for a TV show featuring my family spreading the joy and love of God in Jesus
That
Christ.
sounds
Wow.
fantastic.
Now,
Yeah.
Congratulations
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
pitching a TV show.
That's
It was
incredible.
very
And
exciting.
were you pitching to Christian networks or were you pitching to these more like wicked Hollywood producers?
Well, I wasn't exactly sure initially who I was pitching to. I was given a list of places, and my first place that I landed was a place called BET. It was an error on my ways. But then you learn a little more. I tried to pitch to Up and to TLC. They're not buying. But, then again, there's YouTube channels and exciting things down the pike, major networks like Netflix and another one called Amazon Prime. I've never heard of that before, but I thought that was fun. And again, I've sent to the major networks as well, ABC, NBC, CBS. A lot of it is a tape submission. But when you
Okay.
bring the whole family in matching outfits in there to drop off your videotape, it's pretty exciting.
So you go into these places and you drop off a
Yes.
tape.
I
That's
certainly
cool.
do. A solid videotape. We even dropped it off at that Scientology place because they've got their own TV station as well. I figured, it might not be what we do, but certainly they're spiritual and it is a religion. So it was very exciting to drop things off there as well. We couldn't stay for a test because we were double parked.
I did wonder too in the email that you sent, it said all inquiries can be sent through Saul Clefbaum of the Little Star Makers Agency. I mean, that sounded like you have a Hollywood agent now, which is great.
Well, he reached out to us. He saw us. I think it was 2 years ago. We took a trip to Dollywood, and we saw him. And he seemed like a very nice man, and he handed us his card. And since then, people call him the ambulance chaser of agents. And so I guess he finds people, he chases them down, and you're his.
Yeah, because I was confused. I did hit reply on the email, and then he billed me for $25 to reply to him, which I didn't really understand because I was trying to book you on this show.
I understand, and if I will understand if you take umbrage to that, and you would like me to, give you some tokens for the Chuck E. Cheese or whatever you need to be paid back.
Okay.
Certainly
I
not in
didn't pay
cash,
it,
but
but-
maybe in trade. My kids can clean your house in 15 minutes.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
They come in like a swarm of locusts and just in and out.
We have a hazmat cleaning business, and I feel like it's important for the children to be exposed to the sins of the world. So you get in, clean up some blood, get out, and thank the Lord for the opportunity to serve him.
I think that is a great TV show. I mean, I would be so curious to watch 17 children cleaning up these sites. It's really a great metaphor for Christ and what he's doing to us when you've got a teenager in a hazmat suit cleaning up some blood. It's almost the metaphorical equivalent of Christ, spilling his blood in order to clean our souls up.
Isn't that right?
The children are seeing things that in some reason, in some respects, it's a little disturbing. I have to say that, most of the people who've gotten murdered have probably deserved it because they have not accepted Christ, as their savior. Yeah. So it's a good lesson to them when they see something that, I'm just going to say it right now, resembles brains on the floor. They're going to pick it up and they're going to realize you did not bring Christ into your Lord. I mean, I certainly am not a perfect man, but I feel like if my kids happen to see what happens when you don't bring, it's almost like, let's face it, John F. Kennedy was a Catholic. And what happened?
Yeah. Right. I never thought about that.
Well, I was thinking about brains and it brought me to that. I had an accident when I was 12. An anvil fell on my head. So it was a little hard for me to take standardized tests. But other than that, I'm 100% for the Lord. The Lord saved me and brought me back my brain. The whole right side of my head was crushed. But for some reason, they managed to kind of pop it out almost like a fender that gets hit. They did something with my brain so that Lavinia would find me pleasing to the eye. Not that it was, that's necessary to accept me as the patriarchal leader of the family.
I mean, the Bible says very clearly the man is the head of the household.
And in your case, your head was sort of half a head, and then you got the rest of it popped back in, I guess.
We popped it back, and then I went on a mission to Honduras once I finished up my homeschooling and got my certificate. Not sure where it's recognized in the United States, but it certainly is recognized in the church, and that's all that matters.
How does someone get an anvil on the head? That almost sounds like a Looney Tunes or something.
I wouldn't know what you mean by Looney Tunes. I'm not exactly sure what that means. We don't watch cartoons, although we do watch VeggieTales a little bit.
You're lucky you're not a vegetable.
That's right.
Now, Luke, I've taken a lot of my parenting wisdom from James Dobson out in Colorado Springs and the focus on the family curriculum. But what do you do to protect the sexual purity of 17 females when, these boys with, pole vaulting around on their erections, just trying to trip into one of your girls', genitals? How do you protect them?
Well, obviously, we have standards of dress and codes of behavior. Lulu, Lacey, Lonnie, Lydia, Laurel, Laura, Lola, Loretta, Lisbeth, Louisa, Lena with 2 E's, Layla, Lily, Lucille, Lena with 1 E, Leia, and Lyric. They're godly women, and they know that there are ramifications for not being pure, as in, in the Bible, we talk about stoning a whore, right?
Sure.
So... And we've got a lot of rocks on our property. I hate to say it, but if I lost one because they were a sinful woman by stoning her, I would have 16 other daughters. And if my wife didn't have a prolapsed uterus, we would have 19, 20, 25 right now. I mean, we'd have a lot of children.
I just noticed that time too, you have a Lola and a Layla. That's also,
yes.
Okay. Pretty close. I did want to ask you about, there's something that keeps happening at Climax, and I was a bit curious because your daughters oftentimes, and they are very easy to spot because they always wear the same thing.
That's right. They always wear the same thing.
Yeah, it's almost
they wear a light green T-shirt, lime we call it, a lime green T-shirt, and a jean skirt that goes to the ankle.
Yes,
and they all wear flip flops.
Even in the winter.
Sure.
Yeah.
And something that keeps happening at Climax, and I don't really understand what they're doing because they almost behave like a school of fish or something, is they'll sort of make a high-pitched scream and they'll be like blessing storm or something, and they all sort of circle around usually a boy, and get in sort of a crazy whipped up scrum as they run around in their lime green shirts. And it is a bit intimidating, and I'm not really sure what that is or what that behavior is, because at times they're kind of like a pack of animals doing their own thing.
Well, they're very close. They're all related. They're all sisters, same mother, same father. And they all have pretty much the same thoughts, or certainly the thoughts that, and if they don't have the same thoughts, I will put them in the prayer closet until they, come around and they have the same thoughts. So if you've noticed, they finish each other's sentences almost as if they are, co-joined twins or something like that, but there's 17 of them. And even the youngest one, Lyric, she's only 2. Lyric can do it as well as her sisters. They just pull them in. They raise each other. I mean, I've got to tell you right now, since Lavinia's had a prolapsed, uterus,
Right, you mentioned
Lulu
that.
and Lacey and Lonnie have really taken over the major raising of the other children.
Okay.
So when they go in a circle, it's almost a rite to spring, like one of those dances. It's not pagan, of course. It's honoring Jesus. Almost like how a squid will release some ink, or an octopus will release some ink to keep them away. These girls with their high-pitched sounds are trying to keep the sound of masculinity away until I, of course, assign them. Lulu and Lacey are in courtships right now, certainly mandated by me. I like order in a house, and that's why we wear the same thing. That's why we do the same thing. It's why we pretty much eat almost the same things.
Oh, what do you eat?
A lot of ramen.
Oh, yeah. I love ramen.
This is making sense to me now because, I did notice whenever a boy tries to talk to one of them, they sort of get into this frenzy and they make the high-pitched noise and they run around until the boy, either leaves or collapses or cries. Yeah.
Yes. Some of them have even lost their bowels before. I mean, they've been terrified, and as well they should be, because I'll hunt them down. And you know what? My daughters will clean everything up because we work for a hazmat company.
Has anyone ever pointed out that you had 17 girls? I mean, does anyone give you a hard time saying, "Oh, you couldn't put the stem on the old apple, you couldn't put the trunk on the tree, or the cuke on the salad, or put a pipe on the plumbing"?
Does anybody say it? I guess I've heard.
I'm going to tell you right now, because that's pretty emasculating, and it's no place for you to say anything like that. But I will say this. I'm pretty competitive, and I don't think that there should be another man in the house. So I've probably willed an XX for every one of those sperms.
To have all girls. You didn't hand over that Y chromosome, huh?
Nope.
Okay. Not a male dog, not a male hamster or turtle in the house? Nothing?
Nope. Even our dogs are girls. I don't want them to see dog penis. I think that's wrong.
Well, something is very odd with a dog penis, I'm going to say. When you see that red lipstick come out,
Again, I do not think you have any right, Hallie, to mention anything about a man or a dog's appendages.
That's understandable.
Just circling back briefly to the TV show pitch, what is the show really about? What would we get to see in the TV show?
Well, you would see us in the morning. You would see Lulu, Lacey, and Lonnie getting the girls up. You would see me, flipping my wife, so she doesn't get bed sores. You would see prayer in the morning around our bed. Then you would see the girls getting the other girls making breakfast. Then you would see us all get into the van and go over to whatever hazmat site we have that day, whether it be a murder or a double murder suicide, a drowning, a bunch of stuff. Sometimes we have to clean out a pool. Sometimes we have to just clean out a garage. You never know.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize your wife was bedridden.
We have a striker frame. It's a frame that my wife sits inside like she's the center of a sandwich. And we turn it every couple of hours to make sure that, so sometimes she's facing the ground, but I always put the Bible so that she can see it.
But so she actually has, from 17 pregnancies, she's now completely bedridden?
Yes, it's not just a prolapsed uterus. Something happened where, I don't know if it's ribs. I don't know what lady parts are. I'm not going to dive into that. But there's something below there that just didn't work anymore, whether it was a spinal issue. She can stand, but we'll have to her legs just kind of dangle. And I'm not saying that I don't love my wife, because I love my wife, but there are needs that a man needs. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little, I'm going to say sometimes I'm a little frustrated, but then I remember Jesus and I, comfort myself with Matthew 13 and I'll be fine. Sower of the seeds.
what a great parable.
That's you, Luke. You're sowing your seeds so many times.
Well, I was. And then the seeds just, if you use them a year after the expiration date, sometimes they don't, what's it called again? Germinate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I sound a little angry. Again, when you can't sow your seed in the way that God intended, you can get frustrated. I'm full of seed.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered adoption?
Why? I got kids that look like me and look like my wife. The people might call them vanity babies. I'm calling them children of the Lord. Someone actually called them the other day children of the corn. You know what I had with me? A softball bat. You know what happened? Yep.
Okay.
I think it's such a shame that you couldn't, fulfill your dream of having more kids. But speaking as a mom who has carried kids to term, you know what? I had never thought of it, but I didn't have a great time being pregnant, and I have found motherhood in general extremely challenging as well. But I've got girls too, and girls are tough to raise. They're sensitive.
What are your ages of your girls?
Well, they're all younger than my teenage son. And man, I'm just trying to get through these, teenage years. First, you think we just got to get out of the diapers years, and then it's like, we got to get out of the teen years. How many do you have in diapers right now, Luke?
1, 2, 3, 4 plus Lavinia.
And are you the type of engaged father who gets in there, rolls up your shirt sleeves and does the diapers and throws them in the diaper genie, or do you mostly leave that to your wife?
Oh no, Lavinia can't leave the bed. She can change a child when she's flipped on her stomach. You just put one underneath her. But otherwise, it's Lulu, Lacey, and Lonnie's job to change the dyes. As a matter of fact, Lucille can change her own diaper, which is pretty exciting.
Well, it's been so nice speaking with you, Luke, and we just pray for you. And
oh my goodness!
What?
Little Star Makers Agency just texted me. There is we put a little fish in a pond, and we're gonna make some fish and loaves and wishes coming true. I think because we just got our videotape into Magnolia Network, which was really difficult to do.
Oh,
because
congrats.
Chip and Joanna Gaines are very busy all the time. But I think we might be taking a road trip to Waco to pitch a little more. So wish us luck.
Wow.
Demo day.
Luke Blessing was played by Susan Messing. She's such a dreamboat, and I love her with my whole heart. Follow her at Messing Susan. I'm Holly Laurent playing Hallie Labont, and Gray Haas was played by Greg Hess. Follow us and Mega the Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. And if you really want to get out of hell free card, support us on Patreon. The link is in the show notes.